Hi folks, welcome to Hack Skills and Mods. I did a overview of all the modifications I had made to my AK, and then I broke it down into 3 separate videos and went into more detail. A friend of mine told me after watching them that I needed to do each mod individually on a video and go even further into detail. So that is what I plan to do. And he and I discussed it, and he said that the problem that most AK guys have is being able to get a magazine to go in the rifle. So we're going to start with the magazine well modifications. And I hope I have the camera zoomed in enough so that you can see good. And I will try to point and be very descriptive. Magazine changes and being able to do them as quickly as possible is very important. With other weapons you can get magazine wells, and there are some for an AK that have just a plate on one side so that when you put the magazine up there you have something to guide it against. And I guess that's better than nothing, but this works. And again, this channel is about doing things for yourself and being able to make do with what you have and find a way to get the job done. So, without putting any money into the rifle, what I did is I took this brass hammer, okay, and I started at a fairly steep angle and bent just the edge of the mag well down both sides, okay, and then I rolled just a little further back and then continued to work my way around, well, actually back and forth on the edges. I did the front later, until I got a nice curl from the corner of the receiver. It's actually curled around this way. Once I got these curled, and you don't want to bend them far enough to where you actually make more space around the magazine when it's in there. You just want to angle them and get a nice roll on them. Just something to help funnel that magazine towards the middle. Then up here I did the same thing with the brass hammer, and I started back here and I worked my way in. This whole area here is concave. If you can see this on the camera, here's something that's fairly straight, and you can see how the concave in the middle gets a little further and a little further as it gets towards the magazine well. Now, once I got that done, and these corners right here, I rolled them in a bit further than the rest of it. And I did it all the way back to this corner right here. You don't want to go right up against the magazine catch bracket because you'd be stretching that metal in the corner there quite a bit. And if you stretch that too far, these receivers are flexible. They're spring steel, and they actually flex when you shoot the gun. And this area right here, if you stretch it too far, it'll start to crack, because that is kind of a corner. It isolates pressure anyway, a corner does. And if you stretch that too far and it starts to crack there, then your receiver can crack. So you don't want to make a very abrupt bend in this corner, and you don't want to do it all at one place. You want to slope it, okay? Once I got that curled, and when I say curled, it's not just a straight angle, it's actually rounded, and it's not that hard to do that with a hammer. I guess the best way to say it, the rule is 10 light taps are better than 1 hard smack, and to get the goal accomplished here. Now, once I did that, I polished the sides. I don't believe I polished the front, but I polished the sides with 600 grit sandpaper. There we go, 600 grit sandpaper. And when I polish, whatever direction the friction surface is going to move against it, that's the direction I like to go when I polish. So I didn't do this, I went like this, and I kind of rolled it around as I went. Your fingers being pliable work really well for this, because they allow the paper to conform to the already curved metal at this point, and that works really well. The edges here, use this pick, there's the magazine catch here, and then there's a plate under that. Both of the corners of these two had edges on them that in some instances would catch on the back of the magazine as it was going in, and it would cause me problems. So I took, these are actually diamond files that I got at Harbor Freight. I think I paid $6 for a set of 10 or 12 of them, and they're all different shapes and sizes, but they actually work really well. So anyway, I took the edge off of that, and not enough to really put an angle on it, just enough to take the edge off of it, because where it was stamped out, it leaves a burr on the edge, and I just took that burr off. And then again, you know, I took a smaller piece of 600 grit sandpaper and polished these four edges, here, 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 and here. Then, where the magazine catch bracket is, the lug on the magazine here, when I was putting the magazine in, I'd done this from day one. If the magazine was twisted a little bit either direction, like this or like this, of course that is exaggerated, the corner, I'm sorry, I'm out of the camera frame, here we go. The corner of the lug on the magazine would blunt against this flat surface here. I think it is a far better process to make your rifle accept whatever magazine you pick up than it is to modify the magazines, because if you modify the magazines, then every time you buy magazines you have to modify them. If you have to use somebody else's magazine, is it going to fit your gun? Is it modified or not? When you bought magazines, did you remember to modify those before you put them into use, or did you get them mixed up? You see what I'm saying? It's just better to make the gun work with all magazines. So what I've done is I took a file, and where this edge was flat right here, I laid it in at a 45-degree angle. Okay, this direction, and then over here this direction. And I did that from about right here where the corner is down past where it pivots. So as the mag catch actually rocks forward when the magazine goes in, I came down to about right here with that angle on both sides. And I just did it at a 45-degree angle, and then again polished it, you guessed it, with 600 grit sandpaper. 600 grit it really leaves a nice polish that is functional. I mean, you can use 1000 grit, and like when I do ramp jobs on a pistol, I actually use leather. You won't get anything that ever polishes more of a mirror finish than leather. But on some things, getting that much of a mirror finish is not really that great, because in use it's going to get some scratches and things in it, so that mirror finish is not going to really be there for a long time anyway. So 600 grit does a good job. Anyway, angle here at a 45 and here at a 45 from this corner down to about there, which is probably 3/4 of the distance from here to here. So you want to stop about right there. Past that is really not going to benefit you. So I angled that and then polished it with 600 grit sandpaper, and so the magazine would not be able, if I twist it this way, it can't go far enough to blunt up against that surface. And if I twist it this way, the same thing over here. So even if I put it in quickly at an angle, it's still going to funnel its way in there. Inside here, I'm going to try to find, right here, just above the dimple inside the mag well, there's a plate. It's got, the one on this side has the ejector on it, and it is just filed to the position it needs to be in. It helps, I think it helps stabilize the magazine. But when it was filed, it left a little sharp edge right here. Okay, and as I would put magazines in, it would shave them. Right, oh, sorry, magazine's out of the frame. it would shave the magazines right here. Okay, didn't see that as a good thing, so I thought I'd take care of that problem. And really all I done is the edge that had curled up on there, the burr from the machining when it was built, I just took that burr off with some sandpaper. And on the other side there's another one just like it. I did the same thing to it just to make sure. This one was the one that was actually causing the problem. This one I just did it because I wanted to go ahead and do it and be done with it. Now the mag catch is already pretty slick, as the bottom of the receiver is pretty slick, so that's why I didn't have to polish this area. This area I wanted to polish it because tapping on it with a hammer leaves a lot of little marks in it, and I just went ahead and polished it to take those marks out. This I referred to as a pin in another video, and I apologize, that's a mistake. This is part of the trunnion. This is part of the front trunnion, and it is where the front lug of the magazine catches to hold the magazine in. Now, all that really needs to be done to this is polished. It doesn't need to be filed, it doesn't need to be angled, but if you can get a magazine to slide across that easier, it dramatically is going to improve your magazine changes. So I polished the edge down here, the corner. Okay, if your corner right here on this has a really sharp corner or a burr on it, go ahead and file that off just enough to say the burr is not there. I mean, I wouldn't take any drastic amount of metal off at all, but I would just take the burr off and polish. I'd polish the bottom right at the corner, then I would polish my hammer out here. Then I would polish this surface right here, okay, and then I would use my finger and on the sandpaper and reach and polish what is the top right here, where the hook on the magazine here actually rides when it's in the weapon. Anyway, I would polish the top of that, and again, don't take any metal off, don't change any angles, anything like that. Just polish it so that it's smoother and slicker. And I believe that is everything I've done to the magazine well. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. I will be happy to answer your questions. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out on my channel. And here in London, Kentucky, we have Hawk Creek Armory. And Hawk Creek Armory, there's a gentleman in there by the name of Brian. And Brian, to the best of my knowledge, is the only qualified gunsmith between Lexington, Kentucky and Nashville, Tennessee. They run a really good business. They take good care of their customers. They stand behind their repairs with warranties. Can't say enough good about them. They're just good folks. So if you are in need of a firearm or gunsmithing, stop in there and give them a chance. See what you can work out. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.